So I want to share the exercise specifically with you and help you out there to stop and pause and reflect and maybe reconnect with that inner child version of yourself. So if you're keen to do this, press pause in a minute and go grab yourself a pen and paper, maybe a coffee, maybe a nice cup of tea or something like that. Find a quiet space. And I'm going to walk you through a process of rediscovering or reconnecting in with the inner child version of yourself. So press pause, go do that, and come back. Now that you're back, if you went anywhere at all, because you can also do this, thinking about it. You don't have to have a pen and paper. You can do this in the car or on a train ride, on the bus ride home or whatever, or on your walk. I want you to think of zooming in through your memories. Pretend it's like Back to the Future, the movies or whatever. What's the earliest memory you have of having amazing fun? What was it? What was happening? What did it feel like in the body? Who was around you? Where were you? Paint the picture. If you were to put this on a canvas, what would it look like? And then as you're doing that, and after you've done that, and you might have to pause this in several portions so that it gives you time to reflect, and that's okay. But when you think about that earliest moment of joy, maybe it was playing in the street with your siblings or your friends or your neighbors, or maybe it was on the sports field or at school, or maybe it was watching something really funny on TV, like something simple like that. Or having a just good old belly laugh with dad jokes being told around the family dinner table. Maybe it was a Christmas or a birthday or Easter or some other celebration. Maybe it was a new baby being born into the family or a new puppy or a cat or whatever it is. What was that thing? Who was around? What was it feeling like inside? And then from there, I want you to think about, reflect on, when is the last time you felt like that? And if this was recent, that's great. Keep that going, keep that vibe going. But if it's been a while, I want you to think of, what are the things getting in the way? What are the barriers getting in the way that are stopping you feeling so good about yourself or about the people around you, or about the moments in time around you and the things that you're doing? What are the barriers? Is it where you are, or money? Is it culture? Is it spiritual? Is it religious? Is it finances? Again, money comes up all the time because it's a big pressure at the moment. Or are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? Maybe you're trying to keep up with the next door neighbors who have got all the big toys and you don't have that. And so you think, oh, I can't do that. What's the inner voices you're telling yourself, or the internal discourse you're telling yourself, that are stopping you from doing fun things? I'll give you an example. When it's beach weather, often the kids would say, oh, Dad, can we go down to the beach? And it's very last minute, very spontaneous. And my mind, as an OCD and anxiety mind, doesn't go, yeah, let's do this. That sounds like fun. It looks at more of all the risks associated, all the issues associated. It's the time out of the day to go do that when I'm building a small business. It's the sand in the car, and it's the sand in kids' undies, and it's the sand in my undies. It's all over, sand everywhere. It's finding a park. It's the heat. It's making sure we've got everything packed, from food to towels to bathers to spare clothes, all the things that go with just going down to the beach. It's not as simple as just getting in the car and going down to the beach. And so I often say no to that type of stuff, even though deep down I actually probably want to go. But I'm finding all these barriers internally to say no. And some of this is also automatic for me as well. It's an automatic no, because I just don't want to think about all the things that I've got to think about to go and have some fun. So this becomes a mask. So on that, what are the masks that you're wearing that are stopping you from having some fun? Are you wearing a mask that says, oh, I'm an adult and adults don't have fun? Or I'm a dad and I've got to be serious all the time, I can't be silly? Or I'm tired because I've had a rough night with the kids being up, or I had a late night at work, or maybe I'm hungover. What masks are we wearing that are stopping you from having fun? And now I want you to think back. This is where you are now. This is where you are today. And you know where you were as a kid because you've already looked at that earliest moment of joy. And if you were to go back to that earlier version of you, that inner child version of you, as the adult that you are today, do you think that you would recognize each other? As I mentioned before in my story, it was kind of like this child and this adult kind of looking at each other and going, oh, I kind of know you, but I don't know you. It's been a while since we've kind of seen each other. Is it like that for you? Were you a super happy-go-lucky kid as a child, and as an adult, you're super serious? And if that's the case, if you both recognize each other, then that's great as well. That's good. Celebrate that. Keep it going. But if no, you've got to have that chat with that younger yourself, and you've got to reconnect. You've got to allow that younger version of you to tell you all the things that give you joy, to give you hope. to remind you of all the things that you like. I often sit down with my wife and she says that she feels like she doesn't really have any passions in life. And I'm like, well, what are the things that you like to do? What are the things that give you joy? And sometimes she really struggles with that kind of task. But I think if we tune into our inner child, we can remember all those things. So another example is my 6-year-old son. He really enjoys collecting Pokemon cards. And the adult version of me goes, oh, no, it's just collecting Pokemon cards. But the inner child version of me is like, yes, this is so cool because I loved this at high school. Pokemon came out when I was in high school. I remember not having the money in our family to collect cards like that. We were more into collecting basketball cards and not many because money was tight. But now as an adult, I've got a bit more expendable income and I actually love going and buying a packet of Pokemon cards for my son. And we open it together and we look at the cards and we might look up on the internet how much they might be worth. Have we got a good one? And he's got a couple good ones. He's got a lot of bad ones, but that's just the nature of collecting cards. And this gives me so much joy and fun. This may be seeing the stuff that he's watching on telly. And this morning he was watching a show on Netflix that was actually on when I was a kid. And so that gave me all these memories of sitting around and watching that with my brothers. By tuning into our inner child, our inner version of ourselves, the ones that are full of joy and happiness, we can actually discover or rediscover the things that light us up. And so you can do this. We can do this again. We don't have to stay serious forever. We can let our guards down and tune into this inner child version of ourselves. And so once we start developing this list, we can start doing these things again. Like the Pokemon cards thing for me. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. In fact, I keep telling my son that I want to start my own folder with my own cards as well. And we don't have to, I guess, thinking about the adult version of ourselves, we don't have to overcomplicate it either. We don't need to have everything in place or planned out perfectly to do it. We don't need a lot of money or any money to do a lot of these things. It could be just buying a second-hand bike or even borrowing a bike and going for a ride. When's the last time you jumped on a bike and went around a bike track or a skate park? When's the last time you took a boogie board down to the beach and just had some fun like little kids do? Maybe it's throwing a fishing rod in or going and playing pool or doing some sort of just physical activity that lit you up as a kid. And if you can't do that, maybe it's when's the last time you went to the movies and watched a big movie on a big screen, had some popcorn, some chockies or whatever? When's the last time you got together with a mate and just told old stories about when you were growing up or the things that you got up to? But also not doing it in a way that reinforces these barriers or these masks that we put on. So maybe with you catching up with your mate, when's the last time you just went and got together and went for a walk or climbed a mountain together, went for a drive together and listened to music or go camping, but without the alcohol, drugs or whatever else? So this episode is a reminder that we can tune into our inner child versions of ourselves, no matter what's going on. And in fact, this is a really cool exercise because when I think about all this type of stuff and I think about joy and happiness and what it brings to my life, my mental health stuff takes the back seat. And to the front seat comes the joy. It enables me to say yes more to my kids and to my wife. It enables me to go, you know what, Simon, I don't need to keep checking my emails that I've been on a computer for 10 hours. I'm picking up the guitar in the background. I'm going to play some songs. It enables me to put on some weird and wonderful music in my car and just belt out the lyrics out of tune, but not caring who's around and can see me. It's just about reconnecting with my inner child. And now, since the men's retreat, that's what I'm doing. I'm holding his hand more often. And if I let go of his hand, I really take note and go, hang on a second, I've left him behind a few steps. I'm not going to leave it for 15, 20, 30 years and again. It's only going to be for a few moments. Now, I'm not saying with this episode that you got to stop being serious because we do need to be serious at times. But often we don't need to be as serious with life. We can rediscover that joy. We can tune into joy. We can have fun. And using our inner child to do this is a great way to reconnect with ourselves and discover the things that give us joy.